Peter King, kind enough to join us on short notice from Phoenix, Arizona. You got the owners' meetings there. You got the mmqb.com. By the way, great interview that Peter had with the commissioner. I would love to have seen it or heard it, because it seemed like there could have been some awkward moments in there that Peter was talking to the commissioner about, including, did you ever think about resigning? N-O. What was your lowest point in 2014? Never thought about it. Well, you had a few. Yeah, I just said I didn't think about it. Pete, how are you?
Well, what was interesting, Dan, before I even got the resignation question out, it'd be funny to hear it on tape. It was, did you ever think of resigning in 2014? Because no, N-O, no, But, he was basically fairly resolute on most of the things that he has been resolute about. And I think that, the thing that I've thought, Dan, and I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm talking about the people who email me, and people who I see out in the world. I mean, there's just a lot of people in America right now who are just so down on the NFL office and Roger Goodell in particular.
Yeah.
I don't. Maybe it's just going to take time for that to turn around. Maybe they'll never turn around. Does it matter if it does turn around? I don't know. I mean, Bob Kraft had a great line yesterday when he talked to the media for a bit. He said, I have friends of mine who say the two toughest jobs in the country are President of the United States and Commissioner of the NFL. There's probably some truth to that. But I think a lot of times, when you look at it from the outside world, there are just so many things that are happening in the NFL right now that make it very difficult, in my opinion, to do that job and to please everybody, one of which is he's got to change the game to make sure that concussions and head trauma don't make people, especially parents with children, just totally turn away from playing this game.
I started the show with the catch rule that was supposed to make it clearer or simplify with Dez Bryant. I still believe Dez Bryant made a catch and tried to score a touchdown. Whatever happened after that, if he was a runner or a football move, I don't know that. But it seems like they try to simplify it. I'm more confused now. So help me understand it.
Dan, I honestly don't think it's been changed much at all. I think they've changed the wording of some of it. But there were a few people around the league who want the definition of a catch to be you possess the ball with 2 feet on the ground. Okay? You don't have to make a football move. You don't have to keep it while you go to the ground or keep possession of it while you go to the ground. But it gets back to one of the things that I just talked about, that if the NFL would allow that to happen, then you're going to have significantly less protection for players when they are unprotected right after catching the ball. And the defenseless receiver argument and point to the rules would be out the window. So I don't see them doing it. I see them basically retaining the same rule as got everybody so up in arms at the end of last year.
All right. Being a cynical person that I am, the blackout rule that just appeared now.
Right.
And you got Robert Kraft saying we'll have 2 teams in Los Angeles by 2016, and to try to fill those stadiums that are going to have over 90,000. I don't know if this is L.A. driven for the blackout, just a coincidence here, but help me with that, Peter.
Well, first of all, Sam Farmer of the L.A. Times had a great piece on Sunday about the new stadium, and I think that stadium, the Stan Kroenke Stadium in Inglewood, is far ahead of the Chargers Raiders Stadium unplanned stadium, far behind making something happen. And that would be about 80,000 seats. I understand what you're saying, Dan, and I don't doubt that in the minds and in the hearts of some owners that is a factor. That I still am asking the question. I've asked it to a lot of people here. Are you sure you're going to be able to fill these stadiums? For two teams. Are you sure you're going to be able to do it? Now, as far as the blackout rule, there's so few games really that applies to. That, to me, I think there's very little chance that's going to have a major impact on attendance.
I'm talking short term. If you have two teams out there in 2016, and you're at the Coliseum or the Rose Bowl.
Oh, I see what you're saying. See what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I don't think. Yeah. I think once Kroenke builds his stadium, I think if you build it, they will come because it's going to be spectacular. But in the interim, I think that this is what this is. It's going to take a couple of years to get those stadiums built. So
of course.
You're going to have
the one stadium. I don't know many scenarios where there's going to be two stadiums built. I doubt that.
The teams that will be playing, you're going to have the Rams in there, and the other team is who?
My guess, and it's nothing more than a guess. It's like, Eric Grubman, who's running this whole thing for the league, the LA venture, told me recently if you ask 10 people to seal their guess as to how LA and all these things will be solved, you could open up the envelopes and you have 10 different answers. Just my gut feeling, I think you get the Rams and the Chargers sharing a stadium that Kroenke will manage and own. And then I think you get the Raiders moving to St. Louis to have a shiny new stadium on the Mississippi River.
Yeah, I saw where Robert Kraft said that you can't leave St. Louis empty-handed, that you have to have a team there. So maybe those rumors a couple of weeks ago that started in St. Louis about the Rams leaving but getting the Raiders in return. Maybe there's validity to it.
It just makes a lot of sense. The Raiders are not going to get a new stadium in Oakland. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah.
And I don't know that the NFL wants the Raiders in Los Angeles, so we'll see what happens.
Status of extra points is what?
I think it could go about 5 different ways, but the most logical, really, it could go 5 different ways. Status quo, moving the PAT line to the 1-yard line to encourage people to go for 2, moving the PAT back to the 15 so that it's a 32 or 33-yard field goal type of play, or this weird, 3-point dynamic that the Indianapolis Colts have talked about. It's a little Rube Goldberg-esque, but I think the one my feeling is the most logical thing and the one that has the best chance of passing at these meetings is moving the extra point to the 15-yard line.
Yeah, Seton just brought up a good point. If you move it to the 1, then you have more exposure to, another play with tackles, collisions, and I don't know if the league. I would love to see them have that opportunity, the risk, the reward from the 1-yard line. But if they're so conscious about, collisions, violence, concussions, then they're not going to add more plays or potential for plays there, are they?
You would think not, but that has a lot of support. From
I love
people.
it. I love it.
I would. That's what I would favor the most because I think the 2-point play could be an incredibly exciting play in the NFL, and I would be. Can you imagine that if you have, if you've got a really good spread team, you got a good spread quarterback, or you've got a good mobile quarterback. That'd be a really, really fun play to watch 2 or 3 times a game. And what if you have a nice power back? I think that would be fun to watch too. But I don't know, Dan. I tend to think just from taking the temperature of people here that it's more likely that going for the extra point from the 15-yard line will pass.
No, you got a busy day. Thank you, Pete. Great job with the commissioner.
Hey, I appreciate it, Dan. Thank you.
Peter King, the MMQB.com, did a sit-down with the commissioner, and I would love to have seen it or heard it. It had to be a little bit awkward there.